Shard and Hey, True Crime fans. Welcome back to another episode of Shard and Hey, True Crime. I'm your host, Dakota. With me is our lovely new co-host, the amazing CM Addams. How are you doing tonight?
Well,
how are you doing tonight?
Was quite intense. But we have no chill here, so tonight's episode is going to be even more intense.
Yay! Intensity!
Yes.
Zero chill. Yeah, well, it's funny because last week we were all gung-ho to talk about Richard Cottingham, aka the Torso Killer. And then me, being the absolute disaster that I am, messaged you, 5 hours ago?
Yeah, but fortunately, it's a case that I'm very familiar with. I remember catching on during when we were first just a Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was attached to the whole thing. Oh my gosh, but
Yeah.
But here we are.
Well,
again.
I mean, this is a very interesting case, and I think that it's one that still captures people's attention when you talk about it. And honestly, I thought it was a good idea to talk about this episode because Mother's Day.
Right. One, Mother's Day, and two,
Yeah, it's it's an intense episode, but I feel like, with it being so close to Mother's Day and everything, I felt that this was the perfect time to talk about this case. You want to tell them what we're all talking about today?
All right. So tonight we will be talking about the GYPSY Rose Blanchard case that I'm pretty sure a lot of people are familiar with. If you haven't, maybe you're living under a rock. I don't know, because they have documentaries. They had the Act on show that came out. I think it was last year or the year before. I think during the pandemic.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they had the Act, and that kind of caused a huge controversy with the actual GYPSY Rose, and that's a story for another day. And I guess what makes this case so fascinating is because when we come into this world, it's just human nature to trust your parental figures to try and guide you to the best of their abilities. But it's but what do you do when that hand that's supposed to guide you is pretty much gripping your neck? It's what do you do?
Well, I mean, they say don't bite the hand that feeds, but
in this case, I think it was kind of necessary. But
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and agree with you on that. I will make my thoughts known right now. I don't blame GYPSY for killing her mother. Right. What I do blame her for is dragging someone else down with her.
Right.
Yeah.
We will give all the juicy details.
Yes. And we are going to get into those details right now.
Right.
GYPSY Rose Blanchard was born July 27th, 1991 in Golden Meadow, Louisiana. GYPSY grew up with various physical and mental illnesses. These ranged from muscular dystrophy, leukemia, seizures, vision and hearing impairments, and honestly, there are so many different websites that list off her different ailments that it's just kind of impossible to know exactly what all she had.
Right.
Yeah. But what is known is that with this sick child came the doting mother by the name of Dee Dee Blanchard, who was always there when GYPSY needed her.
Yeah, and it's I guess that's why this case was so fascinating, because, whenever you hear a little sob story about, a sick child that's trying to be optimistic and this doting, devoted mother who's just willing to jump through so many hoops for her kid, that's people love that. They love a good sob story.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't even type in GYPSY Rose Blanchard without finding pictures of GYPSY and Dee Dee together.
Right. It's they were inseparable.
they're synonymous with each other. I mean, not just in death, but in life as well. And so like I just to prove that point, I went on Google while you were talking, and I went ahead and I typed in, Gypsy Rose Blanchard, and this was the first thing that popped up. A picture of Gypsy and Dee Dee.
Right. Weren't they at that looks more like Universal, but I know they frequently like got donated trips to Disney and all that fun stuff.
They were donated trips all over the place. I mean, they were donated so much, and we're going to get into that. Like, we will get into that. But there's something about the duo that their community just couldn't help but love. A single mother's devotion to her child's needs, and Gypsy's optimism and her sweetness despite all of her ailments. And I mean, they're basically the picture perfect. Oh, look at them. Like the picture perfect motivational story. They're like the things that you would see on like the Dodo on Facebook. They'd be like, oh, they are such a happy, mother-daughter duo despite all of the hardships of their life.
Right. And of course, people that are bleeding hearts are gonna jump right into that. I think it was the Habitat for Humanity actually built a house for them.
Mm-hmm. That is
100% in a hot tub. Like, damn, I want a hot tub. But
right? Seriously. Make-A-Wish sent them on trips to Disney World. So, I mean, that picture very well could have been Disney World. I've never been there, but apparently my friends and I are trying to plan a trip now. So that's interesting. Got to look up some good Florida cases for that. But, the thing is with this story, not every heartwarming tale is what it seems. And the ugly truth here is that Gypsy Rose wasn't actually sick.
Never was.
Nope. No, she was the victim of a cruel disease that affected her mother, called Munchausen by proxy, where the caretaker of a child, most often a child, sometimes a spouse, will make up symptoms that cause real symptoms to make it look like the child is ill. And normally this is because they want, sympathy and attention that they feel like they don't get in their normal life. The thing with these people is they want to feel special.
Right.
They want to feel like, look at how great I am. And oh my God, Dee Dee's doing so good despite all of her hardships and the horrible hand that life has dealt her.
Right. And we'll get into it later, but I did make some speculations on how that could have possibly developed, like later when we get into her life story. But,
Love that. Right. But, despite her being
angelic,
so motherly,
facade, of course.
Yeah. Despite all of that, people do recall her having a bit of a dark side. And by her, I am meaning
Dee Dee. Yeah.
Dee Dee. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. She was born in Chack Bay, Louisiana.
Chack Bay.
Yeah, Chack Bay. In 1967, and grew up with a family of 8. And that's kind of where I made this speculation, because when obviously we don't have full proof because, she's dead. But from my experience, usually when people grow up with a large family, like with 8, it's seen, it's hard to get noticed, and feel special and stuff because your family's attention is just everywhere. So
as one of I have 7 siblings. I don't know if you know that. I have 7 siblings. Yeah. So I get it.
Right.
But you don't see me giving someone Munchausen by proxy.
Right. No. Obviously, it's not an excuse, but I feel like that's kind of where it started to develop,
I mean, yeah, for sure. For sure. Now, she was the daughter of Claude Anthony Pitre Sr., Emma Louise Giclair, and had 5 siblings: Claude Jr., Claudia, Evans, Dorla, and Todd.
A lot of siblings. God, I can't.
And her name was Claudine.
Mm-hmm.
Good God. They just could not stop naming all of their children after Claude.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a nice name, but
yeah, seriously, Claude's just like, hey, baby, did you think about a name for that baby yet? Just did you think about what we're gonna name that baby?
Yeah, I was thinking Claudette, you know.
Oh, okay.
They have like more of a Creole name.
No, you're gonna name it after me again? Okay. Can we maybe stop naming the kids after me? Because it's getting real confusing.
Yeah.
Maybe we could just name one like Evans, you know, or Dorla. What about Todd?
I just showed my bias. Sorry to any of the Todds out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess other than, you know, unfortunately being named after your parent, you know, and being in
the next
crowd.
worst thing. So the next worst thing that you could name is, after being named after your parents, the next worst thing that could happen to you is being named Todd.
Yes. I will die on that hill. Yeah. Despite that, you know, I think
so it goes being named after your parents, Todd, and then Adolf.
Just throw the whole name away.
Just throw the whole name away. No one else is allowed to be named Todd.
Being named after her parents because she occasionally engaged in a lot of like petty theft, was probably a compulsive liar. Yes, Mark, we know you were named after a parent.
And your mother Marquette is very proud.
Yeah, she engaged in a lot of petty theft. Usually, you know, if just things didn't go her way, you know, just stole things, you know, like I feel like that also kind of developed into that whole needing attention. Like, even if it was bad, you know, like how else can you get it other than stealing?
Yeah, well, see, what I'm seeing from her is a lack of control.
Mm-hmm.
That is what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
As someone who has taken 2 psychology classes, I am seeing a lack of control.
Right. And then
it's terrible.
Some point, she did become a nurse's aide, which I feel like that kind of fueled into her later schemes because she knew how to like work the documents around medical documents and things to be able to forge them, or at least that's what I'm speculating.
I mean, I think it also definitely had to help with her being able to medically affect Gypsy Rose the way that she did.
Yeah.
You know,
she knew the lingo, she knew what to say, she knew what not to say.
She knew how to get her onto what medications that she thought that she needed, you know. But when she was 24, she became pregnant by Rod Blanchard, who was 17.
Yeesh.
BT dubs.
Yeesh. Just that could have been a red flag, but
and they named their daughter Gypsy Rose because Claudine liked the name Gypsy Rose, or Gypsy, and Rod was a fan of Guns N' Roses. Yikes.
I know. I'm like, ouch. That's like worse than naming your kid after like Hermione or something. It's like, ugh.
So cringe. So cringe. The number of children named Khaleesi nowadays, you know? Dear. I hope those kids call themselves Callie when they grow up, you know?
Right.
Or Lisa.
But despite the awkward, well, I mean, I'm just going to call it what it is. It's gross. The gross age difference. You know, they tried to do the right thing, you know, married out of wedlock. But unfortunately, it just, no matter what you do, you know, it just didn't work out because I think eventually he divorced her right before Gypsy Rose was born because he sensed the crazy.
Well, you know, he realized that he got married for all the wrong reasons.
Right, yeah.
Jojo, I swear to God.
Oh my. But yeah, of course, when, you know, because of Dee Dee's background, obviously she's gonna like try to cling on to him and stuff. I think she tried like really hard to bring him back, but you know, he put his foot down, like, no, I'm not gonna do this, you know, we're not happy. And I think to retaliate, she started like spreading rumors about him, calling like a drug addict and a deadbeat, and how he just got up and abandoned them, even though he was staying in contact with them and giving them child support.
Yeah, seriously. Like, this guy is not the deadbeat that so many podcasters have claimed that he is.
Right. I'm like,
you're
not going to point out that Dee Dee was pretty much a freaking predator, you know, talking to somebody who's 17, you know,
when she's like 24. Like, my God, yeah, it's the South, but Jesus.
Right. It's like, that's still not an excuse. And he probably sensed it and was like, no, I'm not going to do this.
He's like, you know what? This lady is like dangerous. Now,
right.
according to Rod, by the time that Gypsy was 3 months old, her mother was convinced the infant suffered from sleep apnea and began to take her to the hospital for overnight tests. And despite all of the results being negative, Claudine became convinced that Gypsy had a wide range of health issues, which she attributed to an unspecified chromosomal disorder.
I feel like...
Madam.
Yeah. Like, I think it was when she was first born. Wasn't she born prematurely? I feel like that might have been what sparked it, you know, because I'm not trying to, like, throw somebody I know under the bus, but... Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't know. Was she?
Somebody under the bus, but...
Was she premature?
From one of the sources I read, I think she was born like slightly premature, like not much, like not anything dramatic.
Yeah.
Like nothing like, you know, somebody would raise their eyebrow out like, oh, okay, you know, just a minor little bump in the road. But you know how Dee Dee's going to be. She's going to take that and like stretch it out.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Dee Dee managed to induce labor herself.
Right.
I don't know how she would do it. But I'm sure as a former nurse's assistant or whatever, she knew how to induce a labor. Like she like just like, you know, popped her own water or something like they did to my mom. Mm-hmm. My mom went in for her last check before I was born. And when they were doing the check, they were like, oh, we're just going to like play around up here for a minute. Oh, hey, we popped your water. Better go to the hospital. And my mom was just like, what?
Yeesh.
Why would you do that?
Yeesh.
And my poor mother was 16 when she had me. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. She was a baby. But
speaking
anyway.
of babies.
What?
But, yeah, shortly afterwards, I think later when Gypsy was about 7 or 8.
Yeah, it's about 7 or 8. Yeah. And this is actually from her memory, if I'm thinking of the right story.
Right. Yeah. She was riding on her grandfather's motorcycle, and then I think she fell off and just scraped her knees.
That's, you know, typical of a 7 or 8-year-old. You fall, you get a scrape.
But of course, Dee Dee, being, you know, the drama queen she is, she like exaggerated the injuries. It's like, oh my gosh, you got, you know, a serious injury. We're gonna like, you know, have surgery. Like, you just fell, like
surgery. Oh, her bones.
Right, and even like forced her to be in a wheelchair, like even though it's just a scratch.
Yeah.
And I
like,
think
God help that woman if she ever got a paper cut. She'd be like, my finger, it's been amputated.
Oh my God.
I wouldn't be surprised. But no, so and what's really sad is at that point, Gypsy had already been made to use a walker to get around. That's so sad. Just like a little kid with like a little kid walker. Like that just, it's so.
Yeah, it's like,
but after
use this, it's like she was brainwashing her from the very beginning. You know?
That's basically what she was doing.
Right.
But you know, after that, after the little scratch on her knee, she was forced to use a wheelchair.
Right. And then it wasn't until shortly after that she even pulled her out of school. Like I think sources were confused. Like one said 2nd grade, another one even said further than kindergarten, but you know, obviously just in that general area, you know, just completely pulled her out of school, claiming, you know,
she's too sick.
Right.
She can't handle it.
Right. You know, because her illnesses were so severe and stuff, you know, but I feel like that was just a ploy to isolate Gypsy, you know, because I feel like even when she was a child, she knew something was up. So if she isolated her from other people, then she wouldn't suspect, you know, she'd have no choice but to trust her mother's word.
I mean, we see it time and time again when it comes to like cults and stuff like that. Isolation is key.
Right.
Yeah. Now, during this time, Gypsy did manage to read on her own. She learned how to read on her own by reading Harry Potter, which, I mean, you know, it kind of like brings it home for me because Gypsy is only a year older than I am.
Right.
Like, I was reading Harry Potter at the same time as Gypsy Rose. That's crazy to me.
It's pretty cool that, you know, she taught herself, like, in that current condition and stuff, you know. Seriously. You probably had nothing else to do.
Right. She was just like, well, guess I better learn how to read.
Right.
Now, Gypsy's father, Rod, remarried, and Claudine moved in with her father and stepmother that would later claim that Claudine, while preparing food for her stepmother, poisoned it with Roundup weed killer, leading to her own chronic illnesses.
Yeah, that's totally not a red flag. That's totally not gonna, you know. I mean, if that were me, you know. Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, you know, it's different when it's family, but, you know, that probably would have been a good time to call the police, you know? It's like if somebody just got some attention with it, maybe it could have ended sooner, but, you know, what's done is done.
If one of my siblings tried to, like, give me Roundup weed killer in my food, number one, I would beat the shit out of them.
Right.
Because it's a sibling, you have to beat the shit out of your siblings. And number two, I would call the fucking cops. I don't give a fuck who it is. If it's family, if it's a friend, if it's someone, if they're straight up trying to poison me, they get their asses kicked and then they go to jail forever.
Right. And I will say, despite not calling the police, even though they should have, I think they knew right away something was just absolutely wrong with her. Not just because of the upbringing and, you know, the petty theft and, you know, the other things and the whole drama with her ex-husband. No. I think they already knew. Like, I think they were already suspicious.
They've been knew.
He did something, you know, because I think at that time she was also being arrested for, like, writing bad checks and other little petty things like that. So, you know, it's like, okay, the pieces are coming together, something's going on, and I just happen to be getting poisoned.
Yeah. And I think that another thing that happened around that time was they started to question her about what was going on with Gypsy. Right. They're like, what's happening with her health? Why are you saying that it's this way when it's not? Like, there's no evidence to prove that it's this way. So
yeah, probably feeling like attacked and like ganged up on, you know, she just took Gypsy and left.
And they went to Slidell.
Right.
And around that time, her stepmother's health returned to normal. Gee, I wonder why.
Right. Like, I would have said something right then, but, you know, again, this is a different time, different place.
It's the 90s, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like there was still that stigma where, you know, family still, especially in the South, you know, where they just value that whole, like, family is still family, even if they literally tried to kill you with weed killer.
I mean, it's still kind of like that in the South, though. You know that.
Yeah.
We both know
we're not going to talk about it.
No, but we both been new, okay?
Right. But anyways,
yeah. Anyways, and so Slidell,
Slidell. She, I think it was like, she and Gypsy lived in public housing. They just mainly paid bills through public assistant, child support from her ex-husband. We're just constantly visiting different specialists. I think, in the, I hope I'm saying this right, Tulane Medical Center?
Tulane.
Oh, Tulane. Okay. Yeah. And the Children's Hospital of New Orleans. And then that's when finally a medical professional started to suspect something.
They were like, hey, this lady Dee Dee, she's pretty sus. I don't know. She might be the imposter.
Right. Pretty sus, yes.
Pretty sus.
Yeah, because when they did the a few more tests, especially with the
they did a muscle biopsy.
Right. And it came back negative, even though Dee Dee was like super insistent that it was there.
She was like, no, she has muscular dystrophy. You have to listen. Don't trust are you going to believe the test or are you going to believe me? Because I was a medical assistant for like a week. So you should believe me and not
you should believe my whole week experience, you know, but
yeah.
Fuck science, I guess. But
I have been a medical assistant for an entire week. So you should be listening to me and not that science, because the science is the liberal left trying to brainwash you.
Oh God.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong that would definitely be her argument?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think unfortunately during those times, that's when Hurricane Katrina hit. So obviously it's kind of hard to catch suspicious behavior when literally everybody's houses are being flooded. They're having to evacuate. And I think even their own apartments got ruined. So they had to be, and I think,
they ended up in a shelter in Covington that was set up for individuals with special needs. And Claudine said that Gypsy's medical records, including her birth certificate, had been destroyed in the flooding. And while they were there, a doctor from the Ozarks suggested that they relocate to Missouri. And the next month, they got an airlift there for free.
Right.
So they could relocate to Missouri and have their, just keep on the web of lies.
Yes. And just like how convenient. Like that's just, it sucks, like how just very conveniently a natural disaster hits right when people are kind of catching on that you're lying. And then you get to move and start fresh with a new lady.
She seems pretty sus. Should we be saying something about that? Oh shit, there's a hurricane.
Right. We'll be right back.
BRB. Dee Dee, we'll be back. We need to talk about this, okay? But after the hurricane's over, we're going to have a real talk about this, Dee Dee. We're going to sit down. We're going to set some things straight. You hear me?
And somebody actually tried to. I think his name was Bernardo Flaskerstein. He was a pediatric neurologist who saw Gypsy in Springfield, which is I think where they were currently living.
Missouri,
and he immediately was just suspicious of Dee Dee, like, okay, something's going on here, like the things aren't adding up. And he even ran his own like blood tests and MRIs and just saw nothing. And he even flat out told her, like, there is no reason why she should be in a wheelchair. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and Flasterstein noted that Dee Dee was not a good historian, and he actually reached out to Gypsy's doctors in New Orleans and learned that her original muscle biopsy had came back negative, and it totally undermined Dee Dee's diagnosis of muscular dystrophy, as well as her claim that all of her medical records had been lost in the flooding.
Right, because it's like, it's lost. No, it's not. Here it is.
Yeah, and he was like, you know what this sounds like to me? This sounds like Munchausen by proxy.
Right, it's like he was one of the first people to really suspect it, and I think, again, just like with her family, she felt attacked. She felt, ganged up on, so she stopped seeing him, and
well, she also managed to get access to his notes, and she was able to see he wrote in his notes that he was like, this is probably Munchausen by proxy. I should be looking at Dee Dee, not Gypsy. And she was like, peace, I'm out.
Why the fuck you lying?
Why
you always Yeah, so unfortunately, Flasterstein did not follow up with social services on it, which I'm kind of mad that he didn't. But at the same time, I think his colleagues convinced him not to, because they're just like, you know what? Nobody's going to believe you anyway, because, I mean, it's like the perfect sob story anyway.
Right. But in 2009, an anonymous caller told the police about Dee Dee's use of different names and birth dates for herself and her daughter, and suggested that Gypsy might be in better health than anybody thought. And I wonder who that anonymous
I bet it was him.
caller could have been.
Or it could have been her ex-husband too. Like, it could have been anybody, really. It could have been her family.
It could have
been anybody.
It could have, but I'm willing to bet that it was the doctor, because other doctors were like, hey, you got to treat these guys with the golden gloves. Just treat them like you would treat the president.
Right. Yeah. And so, especially when, you're a trained professional, it's like, no, I definitely sense something wrong here.
Seriously, super sketch.
Yeah.
And the police who performed the wellness check accepted Dee Dee's explanation that she used the misinformation to make it harder for her abusive ex-husband to find her and Gypsy without talking to Rod, and reported that Gypsy seemed to be genuinely medically and mentally handicapped, and they closed the file.
See, shit like that really pisses me off, because there are so many real cases of like domestic violence and trying to escape an abuser.
Yeah.
And it just gets dismissed, like nobody cares and stuff. But yet this one woman who actually is guilty, uses it as a little sob story. And
yeah,
it really pisses me off, because it's like, okay, they could have been using that time towards somebody who actually was in a real abusive relationship, but instead we're gonna believe this little
who died because of Dee Dee. Just who was murdered by their abusive ex-spouse because this bitch was tying up police resources.
Right. It's just, it sucks.
It does suck.
Yeah, and then meanwhile with Gypsy, getting the most out of this, I think for about, she said in an interview, for about 15 years, because she just had her mom's thumb pressed on the back of her head so much, she didn't even know her real age for the longest time, because she kept changing it.
That is so sad. It really is.
Like, that just breaks my heart for her. Like, you don't even remember your own age, because
I mean, to not even know. And they did do a really interesting thing in the act. I don't know if you watched that. Did you watch that, CM?
Not yet, because I got obsessed with watching another case about Michelle Carter.
Oh, yeah. So
yeah, I would love to go over that one sometime.
Well, you should add it to the list.
Yes.
But they do this really interesting thing in the act where where Gypsy kind of like looks at her mom, who's played by Patricia Arquette, and is wonderful, but definitely not Dee Dee.
Right.
Just they gotta make everybody prettier on TV.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sorry, listen, Dee Dee was a big lady. And I think they used
that gleam in her eye that just said nothing's right,
but also they used Patricia Arquette, who is not a big lady, and I'm pretty sure they added some padding on her. Now that is a different topic for a different day, but I will never not be mad about that.
Agreed.
Yeah. Excuse me. But anyways, they did this really great scene where Dee Dee says Gypsy's birth date, and Gypsy like looks at her and she's just like, I thought I was born in this year. And she was just like, shh, don't fucking talk about it. I'll fucking kill you. Don't fucking talk about it. I'll fucking kill you.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's not quite like that. Like, that's, for
obviously it was exaggerated for, dramatic effect.
Pretty much the gist. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think Dee Dee was just more like kind of swept it under the rug. Like, no, that was a misprint that you read before, like.
Yeah.
But yeah, despite some issues and stuff, I know like since 2001, Gypsy attended a lot of like different conventions. I think mainly just for like sci-fi and fantasy, just kind of.
I mean, it's like the one thing that her mom actually let her have, that and Disney movies,
Right. So it's like in a way she was kind of like infantilized, mainly from a lot of the videos that I watched, like the real videos. She was very infantilized,
She
especially with like
really
running Disney and
was.
stuff. But then,
Yeah.
I feel like conventions are kind of like that happy medium between childhood and adulthood.
I'll agree with you on that. As someone who has gone to a lot of conventions professionally, I will completely agree with you on that.
Right. So it's kind of like that
Yeah.
happy medium between like childhood love and then kind of getting into adulthood. But despite, being in these environments, because, you go there to, meet celebrities, meet cool vendors and artists, go to cool panels. But even though she got to go, she never got to actually make any friends, and that's gotta suck.
I mean, really, I have made so many friends because of cons, and like
Right.
lifelong friends. I have one friend that is getting married this year, and I met them from a con. I have another friend who just got married that I met at a con. Like, I have so many friends that I've met just from conventions.
Right, same.
And she felt like she could blend in at a convention.
Right.
And I totally get that, because even though she's in a wheelchair, she's like, everybody's like doing something, everybody's like, supportive and doing their thing. And I feel like I could be at home at a convention, and Dee
And Dee was still controlling her, like,
yeah,
wrapping her hands around her throat, like, no, you can't even like talk.
Just don't make friends. Just, you can go to the con, but don't you dare make friends.
Right.
I mean, even, and then at that point, I think it was like 2011,
right.
Gypsy was like, you know what? I'm going to like hook up with a guy. I'm going to go get my bang on. And tried to like meet up with some guy that she met online at a hotel room. And she was caught immediately by her mother, who threatened to go to the police because she was saying that Gypsy was, younger than she really was. She's like, my daughter's only 14. And that guy was like, no, thank you. No, thank you.
And it's like, you already don't even know your own age. So it's like, you can't even argue with that.
Then you're just like, fuck, am I 14? What the hell, man? I thought
so
I was
not even with just that, that manipulation. I think even Gypsy herself said that after that, Dee just like was outraged. She like smashed her computer with a hammer and even like threatened that she would break her, use that hammer and break her fingers if she ever tried to escape again. And then like cuffed her to the bed for 2 weeks.
The old misery routine.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, my God, it's like freaking
misery.
Right.
Literally misery. Like Kathy Bates did it first and did it better. Okay.
Yeah. And I feel like around that time is when around
that time is when Dee told Gypsy that she had filed paperwork with the police claiming that Gypsy was mentally incompetent. And that made Gypsy think that if she ever tried to go to the police for help, they wouldn't believe her.
Right. And so it's like after that, and then being told the police are not going to believe you, which is like a typical, manipulation tactic that most abusers do to their victims. Like, yeah, nobody's going to believe you. So, you might as well not even tell anybody. After that, you start feeling like desperate, you kind of like, you start to suspect that maybe, okay, if you're really this controlling over me, you got something to hide.
Yeah.
And I think that was during the time where Gypsy actually started to kind of think maybe there's really nothing wrong with me, like maybe she's so controlling because she knows if the truth got out, then she'd be a liar and she'd be in a lot of trouble, like legally as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I totally get where Gypsy is kind of coming from at this point. As someone who went through shit when I was a kid, not quite the same as Gypsy. My parents were very loving and supportive people, but I did go through shit, and I remember thinking to myself, I'm gonna get in trouble if I tell, like, I'm gonna get in trouble. So, I didn't want to get in trouble.
Right.
Yeah.
And so during that time, it's like your fight or flight instincts come in, and I think she was really just trying to find some shape or form to escape her. And during this time, the internet age.
Yeah, I mean, but she was
The
also
internet.
like she was also so what's it the word in how did you say it before?
Infantilized.
Infantilized. Thank you. She was also so infantilized that like she truly did get treated like a little kid. And I mean, I highly doubt that Dee Dee would have, had real conversations with her and told her what the world is really like. So everything she's basically learned is from Disney movies, sci-fi movies, and the internet when she had
Right.
it.
Like if you're if you're an ailment and you're in trouble, that somebody's going to come and rescue you, and you're going to run off into the sunset and live happily ever after. And I think that's when she started going to the internet to try and find her knight in shining armor, whoever it might be.
And at that point, she got onto a Christian dating website. And yeah, love that for her. Love that for her. Just honey, sweetie, gypsy,
right, honey,
baby. But she went on a Christian dating website and met Nicholas Goodenjohn. Goodenjohn? Is that how you pronounce his name?
Godenjohn? I've been saying Gojon, but that's just me because I suck. But
you don't suck. I think
I'm more of a reader, so I don't actually say the words.
Yeah, same. I think it's Godenjohn because I was literally watching I think I was literally watching the A&E thing about this before we started like streaming just to like get all of my facts straight,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's Godenjohn.
We'll just say
But anyways, so she met him who was around her age and lived in Wisconsin.
Right, not too far from where they were.
Yeah, and he had some issues of his own. He had a criminal record for indecent exposure. He had a history of mental illness, and it has been argued that he has dissociative identity disorder mixed with autism. Right. As someone who is on the autism spectrum, I would like to say fuck you very much to the prosecutors who are like, he's autistic, therefore he can't make decisions, because fuck you.
Right. That's like how we said before, it's infantilizing somebody. Yeah. And that's like a big negative stigma with autism.
It really is. I mean, I am a goddamn professional who has a lot of stuff going for me. And I'm on the spectrum. Like, don't come at me like that. That's rude.
It's rude. Yeah. It is. It's very rude.
It's rude.
Very ableist. So it's like, right? Look, I get that what he did was wrong, but don't like excuse it.
Don't be sitting there and being like, well, he's autistic, therefore he doesn't know any better.
Right. But despite these ailments of, his criminal record, which, should have been a red flag, but, oh well. Their relationship grew quickly, and they started talking for maybe about a year or so, and Gypsy confided in a neighbor who I think her name was Aaliyah.
Yeah
Aaliyah the words are hard. Woodmansey. I'm just gonna call her Aaliyah. I'm not even gonna
let's just go with Aaliyah. Yeah.
And I think of course Gypsy being whimsical Disney princess syndrome, it's like, oh, we're gonna like get married, he's gonna rescue me, and we're gonna have children, we're already thinking of names. Obviously she's like under the impression that Gypsy's younger than her, trying to play that protective sister role, like
I think they were like a year apart, maybe.
Yeah, they were just a year apart, like, but because of the lies that Dee Dee told, she just assumed she was younger or even underaged, and was trying to like protect her, and was like, no, maybe you're being taken advantage by a sexual predator, which was possible.
Absolutely possible. But after a year of staying in contact, Gypsy arranged for and paid for Nicholas to meet her and her mother in Springfield. And they were planning on, it was the release of the Cinderella remake.
Yeah, the live action one.
Yeah, the live action Cinderella. Gypsy arranged for them to accidentally bump into each other, and her plan was to just bump into them when she and Dee Dee were at a movie theater, and both of them would be in costume, and they would strike up a relationship that seemed natural, and it would be like, oh, look at I just met this guy. This
I totally haven't been talking to for a year, but unfortunately, well, I mean, not really unfortunately, but the one thing I actually will agree with Dee Dee on is that she immediately disliked him. Like, she, right off the bat, she did not like him and was like, okay, why is he showing up dressed up for a kid's movie by himself? You know, like, she was already like, I guess that's the one thing about abusers is that they will see red flags in other people as well because they know that's something they would do.
Oh, totally. Absolutely, 100%. They would totally do that.
Like, found him creepy and was like, no, don't bother with him, you know.
No. And here's
like, yeah.
Yeah, and here's the thing. As soon as they did meet in person for the first time, Nicholas says that Gypsy like snuck out. She like told her mom, she's like, "Oh, mommy, I have to go to the bathroom." For those of you who think that I am making fun of Gypsy by using that voice, by the way, go watch an interview with Gypsy. Like,
she does have a very like high-pitched voice.
She does. I don't know if that's something that she's doing on purpose or if that's like what her voice is like or what, but like she talks like this and oh no, I didn't kill my mom. No, I would never do that. Yeah. She sounds like a cartoon mouse.
Yeah.
Thank you for agreeing with me on that because I've said that before.
Because I've watched like, a bunch of interviews.
Why would you say that?
It sounds very princess-like. That's the best way to explain it.
Yeah.
Like very Snow White-like.
Yeah. Yes. That is the perfect way to do it. She is trying to be Snow White.
Right.
But so Nicholas says that, you know, she was like, Mom, I have to go to the bathroom. And her mom was like, do you want me to go with you? And she's like, nope, I got it. And so she like rolled herself into the handicap bathroom where she and Nicholas had sex. And I'm sorry, can you imagine just this poor girl has never been kissed by a guy before. And the first time she has any physical contact with a guy, they're banging in a bathroom at a movie theater. Just y'all.
And nobody like caught on, like,
bruh.
Yeah, I can imagine that must have been like, you know, but when you're that young and you're
horny.
Yeah, hormonal, and you know, this is the only guy that's really ever shown interest to, you know, you get desperate, you know, and it's like desperate times, you know, you're just willing to settle. ...
Yeah, right. Exactly. So yeah, Dee Dee was just like, no, he's creepy. And Nicholas went back to Springfield about a year later, I think, or what was it, like not even a year later.
Yeah,
no, it was a couple of years later. Sorry about that. I got my numbers mixed up.
Yeah, but despite you know, the really bad meetup, you know, they still stayed in close contact with each other and eventually finally started to plot to actually murder Dee Dee because she genuinely believed that was just the only way she was going to be able to escape her, because it's like the one out that she didn't.
You know, I'm going to go ahead right now. I am going to go ahead and agree with Gypsy on this. There was probably no other way for her to get out from under her mom's thumb.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny to use a Disney reference, but it's kind of like when Rapunzel tried to like convince Mother Gothel that she could handle herself, and then the last thing she says is like, "You're never leaving this tower ever." I feel like that was kind of. I think Tangled even came out around that time too, but
that's pretty apt.
That's pretty much what happened. It was like, I don't think Dee Dee ever intended for Gypsy to ever leave.
No, I mean, what was going to happen when Gypsy turned to like? What was going to happen when Gypsy turned to like 30 or something, you know? And she's just like, "Oh, my daughter's 15," and people are like,
"No, she's not.
That bitch 30. She's got crow's feet."
Right?
No. I say, as a 30-year-old with crow's feet.
I'm 30 with maybe I have crow's feet. I don't know.
I have them when I smell later. to have them when I smile.
But anyway.
Yeah. Sorry.
You know, they started making the plot
to
kill Dee Dee.
Yes.
And I think it actually was maybe a year later.
It was 2015.
Yeah, 2015. He did come back to Springfield and, you know, waited it out. And then they came, I think, it was coming home after an appointment. Dee Dee came home, she fell asleep, and then GYPSY brought him in and allegedly gave him like the weapons that he needed, which were duct tape, gloves, knives, not a knife. My bad.
Knife.
Knife. We're just gonna throw knives. But anyway,
I throw knives.
Yeah, that, you know, she just knew, like, hey, here's what you got to do. Go do it.
Go kill that guy. But she also, fun fact, was like, I didn't think he'd actually be able to do it.
Yeah, which is, I mean, if you're handing somebody a weapon, like, go kill somebody, and they're marching in, they've already driven whatever miles to come to your house and do it.
He took the bus.
Yeah, it's like, I'd like to think he's kind of dedicated. Like,
I mean, if he took the bus all the way there, yeah, I would think so.
Right.
But anyways, GYPSY claims that she hid in the bathroom and covered her ears so that she wouldn't be able to hear her mother screaming. However, if you watch the interrogation, you do see that she does know that her mother was screaming her name. And Nicholas has confirmed that as well in his own interrogation, which the videos are available on YouTube. I will post them in the Chardonnay Facebook group. If you want to watch them, they are kind of chilling. Yeah. Anyways, she claimed that she covered her ears so she wouldn't hear it. Nicholas then stabbed Dee Dee several times in the back while she was asleep. Obviously, she woke up whilst being stabbed and was screaming for her daughter. And Nicholas stabbed her so bad that she was practically decapitated.
Wow.
Yeah. That is how much he was stabbing. Like, she was almost decapitated. Just bruh.
Good job. I don't know what to say to that. Like, okay.
I know, right? But then the two of them decided, oh, okay, well, mom's dead. Guess what? Time to get on the bone train.
Woo woo. And, you know, had some fun. Stole about $4,000 of cash from Dee Dee's safe or wherever she was, you know, hiding her money, and then fled into the night believing they got away with the perfect crime.
That is definitely not the perfect crime, kiddos.
Right.
But then because they had like $4,000 in cash, they stayed at a motel outside of Springfield for a few days while they tried to figure out their next move. And I will say this is actually kind of smart. They mailed the knife back to Nicholas's house instead of being caught with it. That's actually a little smart. I mean, honestly, if I were you, I would just like yeet the knife off of a bridge into the river or something. But now everybody's got those magnets and goes like magnet fishing and stuff. But you know,
right. And I think, I think they made a Facebook status saying the bitch is dead after all of that. And, you know, obviously the community is in an uproar. Like, that status is still up to this day on Facebook.
Yeah, it is. That is still up to this day on Facebook. They also have, hang on a second. I've got the Facebook posts here. There was another post. So the first post, the bitch is dead. That one got a lot of really interesting comments, and I'll show that one in just a moment. But there is another post. Let me just find it really fast.
Wasn't it him like replying, you know, like saying like, oh, I...
No, it was like the one where he said like, I killed that fat pig. And like, where is it?
It's in that same thread, but
oh, it is in the same thread. Okay,
right.
yeah. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I found it. Yeah, well, Gypsy and Dee Dee had a joint Facebook because, of course, Dee Dee could not let her daughter have something that was her own. So this is the
Right.
first, this is the post. So it says, the bitch is dead. And then people from the community are sitting there going, what? Did your Facebook get hacked? I have never heard you talk like that.
Right.
And sounds like y'all are watching a movie. And should someone notify the police? Like, yeah, this is, this is bad.
Yeah, and if you go to the original post on Facebook, I think my friend actually shared it.
Oh shit, really?
Way at the bottom. It's like the last comment. This poor woman posts like the actual like news article when Gypsy got arrested and was like, guys, I think you need to look at this. And that's when just the box flew open and all the dirty secrets came out.
Yeah, well, here's the other post. And I'm sorry, this one doesn't get much bigger, but at the bottom, there's a post from GYPSY Blanchard that says, I'm going to give a trigger warning here for intense content, I guess. What kind of trigger warning should I give this one, CM?
Terrible, rude language.
Thank you. That is the trigger warning. I fucking slashed that fat pig and raped her sweet innocent daughter. Her scream was so fucking loud. Lol.
Hashtag try so hard. Like,
you know what this is? This is literally, oh my God, it's that one Reddit. It's that subreddit, just like that one, like, I am so tough, or like, I am so scary, or whatever it is. Like,
yeah. Try too hard.
I am so.
Ugh. But yeah, obviously that sparked an uproar, and obviously the police were called.
It's r/I am very badass. That's what it is. I'm sorry. I needed to know the answer to that. I needed to know the answer to that. I'm sorry.
But yeah, obviously, the police were called, and I think they didn't get a warrant.
No.
Until like way later, and then that's when they saw like, okay, the car's still here. They actually got in. Gypsy's wheelchairs were still there. She's missing. Everybody's freaking out because there's just no explanation as to what happened.
Yeah, and a GoFundMe was immediately set up to pay for the funeral expenses for Dee Dee and possibly Gypsy.
Yeah, because they have no idea what's going on.
No, they're like, oh no, Gypsy's wheelchairs and all of her like tube feeding
things. Yeah, because they don't know, like, because they're still in the dark. They don't know how she's gonna live without her medications and her support
and her oxygen and her feeding tube and her wheelchairs and all of that. Right. But
so they really don't know. But
what is her name? Aaliyah? Was that the neighbor girl? Yeah. She was among the first to be on the grass at the Blanchards.
Yeah, she was actually the first one to actually say, hey, I know I'm not supposed to talk about this, but she has had a secret online boyfriend, so that was like the first lead to them actually finding them.
It was, yeah. And she showed them printouts that she had saved, including his name.
Right.
Yeah.
That wasn't very smart, but
But based on the information, police actually reached out to Facebook and got them to trace the IP address from where the posts were made. And it turned out to be in Wisconsin. So the next day, the police showed up in Wisconsin and raided the Godinjans' house. And And here's an interesting thing, and it doesn't actually say this in the notes. He and the police had a little standoff because he had a knife, and he was just like, "I'm not gonna go," and they were like, "Put the knife down," and he was like, "No."
Jesus Christ.
And they were like, "Put it down," and he was like, "Okay, fine."
Yeah, so I think they
what happened? Like
got arrested, and but then unfortunately, you know, the secret was out. You know, Gypsy was walking, she was fine, you know,
she was a-okay.
Right. And so it's like, well, you're happy that, you know, she was found alive and well, but then it's like, okay, you know, going back to that one comment, you know, where the secret got out that she was never sick. It's like, guys, you need to check this out. And so,
yeah, there was that comment on the Facebook that was just like, "Ayo, about this." You know what? I'm gonna go on Facebook right now and see if I can find it.
Uproar in the community, you know, like people are like mad, they're angry, they're
big mad,
confused, big angry, heartbroken, because it's like they more than likely were really good friends with Dee Dee, only to find out she was just a big fucking liar. Yeah.
Big old fucking liar. Just and why the fuck
Gypsy was never sick, you know, and was being abused, and whew. So yeah, and it even got to the point where even I think the main investigator even had to say like, hold off all donations on the GoFundMe until we figure this all out, because you know Dee Dee's also been committing fraud.
Yeah, exactly. Just it's scary.
You know, it's like years worth. So it's like, okay, we need to figure out exactly like the numbers and stuff. So after all the disclosure came out, you know, there was like sympathy for her, but then also like condemning the murder. So it's like there was just a lot of conflict behind it. And I think that's why it's such a nasty case, because it's like, yeah, murder sucks. It's wrong, but her you know, what else was she supposed to do?
I
just lay back and be like, oh well, there goes my life.
Yeah, and I found the Facebook page, by the way.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and so I'm going to go ahead and share this on screen right now. So let's go ahead and share this and see what we can see on this Facebook page. Now, I will point out that this is now a remembering page. It's a remembrance page to help people celebrate her life. But here is the post, June 14th, 2015. It's got 165 comments and 108,000 shares. That's okay, so many shares.
Sorry, I misread that one saying that's not D. I thought that said that's not nice. It's like
that's not nice. That's not nice. Should someone notify the local police? This sounds scary.
That's not nice.
We live down the road from them. We are headed there now. And someone else goes, please let us know if all is good. Kimberly, please call the police to meet you there. Please update. Kim,
it's like, I feel so bad for them, because it's like they were just duped, you know? They were bamboozled.
Yeah, exactly. And
like they really so like we're just good people that just
people are sitting there going like, people are sitting there being like, the dispatcher told me that they're on their way. Just if they happen to be joking, they are a sick individual. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to go ahead and share this a little bit bigger so that people can see it. Hopefully they can you see it a little bit better, CM?
Oh yeah, I can see it.
Okay, cool. Just making sure. Any updates, anything, anybody? Like, oh God, this is, people are like, so worried.
Like and like update on like everything that happened, like just
I am here. I am here. The police are trying to find her. Is her cube there? The car, I think. Yes, the car is
like,
here.
Looking at the pictures of Gypsy Rose, like on the left, or at least
I know, right?
It's like you just see like this cutesy, infantilized little girl, sick girl, supposedly, and it's like
sick girl.
You just would have never guessed.
Is Gypsy's power chair there? When they go out, Dee takes her regular wheelchair. If her power chair is not, they may be at the neighbors in the subdivision. The phone goes straight to voicemail, which means the phone is off. But if they aren't home, it means these posts came from the smartphone. Here's the thing, guys. I know everyone is very concerned. We need to realize that whoever posted this can read all of this.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're like packing up their shit and leaving. So it's like, who's really going to be sitting there?
Kimberly Blanchard was the one that posted that. Good for you, Kim. Kimberly says, unfortunately, nothing new. It's not official, but my friend GYPSY Blanchard is missing. I might be jumping the gun, but God forbid something happened to them. Please share. I think it's just Gypsy, because like at that point it was just Gypsy that was missing. Right. I mean, because Dee Dee's body was there.
Yeah, they.
And so then it finally gets.
Oh, there we go. Wait,
no, this one is mother, daughter missing, considered endangered. Yeah, that's not the right one. And then it gets down. We're gonna keep going down. Oh no, I'm crying my eyes out. Is their vehicle? I pray Gypsy's still alive. Gypsy is safe. They found her in another state. Praise God.
That's when the truth comes out.
Oof, yikes. Yep, things are starting.
You can just see the tone shift right there. Like,
why would someone do this to her? Where is the prayer page? I can't find it. And then
there we go, right there, just
right
like
here,
guys.
Y'all,
check this shit out.
Y'all.
And it's like that's the last one. It's like that was just the final nail in the coffin. Just like
seriously,
keeps messing up.
And it was just like, oh shit, like y'all. But here's the thing. I'm scrolling through the Facebook page still, and a lot of these pictures, it's very much like all of the profile pictures and everything. They're all just Gypsy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It's just really weird to me. Like, this girl is like
it's
my
like she
age.
was used more as like a product or like some sort of advertisement. Yeah, she was a prop.
And it's really sad. It really
is.
But I mean, all of this starts to come out, Gypsy was found safe. She was brought back to Springfield, and she and Nicholas were brought back to Springfield, and they were held on a $1 million bond. And in the news, the sheriff warned things are not always what they appear. And the media soon started to report the truth on their lives. Gypsy had never been sick. She'd always been able to walk, and her mother had made her pretend otherwise. And she used physical abuse to control Gypsy. And he urged the people not to donate any money so they could figure out all of the fraud, like you said.
Right.
And I mean, it's insane. I mean, just looking at the Facebook page and realizing that is still up. We have a lot of comments right now asking if that's still up and everything. Yes, that is still up. That is something that I found literally while we were just sitting here talking about it, because I wanted to show how easy it is to find this page. But the the prosecutor announced that he wouldn't seek the death penalty for either of them, and he called the case extraordinary and unusual, which is something that a doctor from Louisiana tried to tell people a long time ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after, all that, I think they were trying to get all their information together for the trial, because there's just so much having to pull what's actually fact and what was a lie that Dee Dee told, and just trying to figure that all out.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't she go to jail like immediately?
Pretty much, yeah. She
Yeah, and
had.
while she was incarcerated, but she actually gained 14 pounds because.
Oh no, poor Gypsy Rose. She gained weight for the first time in her life.
Right, yeah, and it was like she even said herself that she felt more free in prison than she ever did her whole life, like living with her
I
mom.
know. And I mean, she accepted a plea bargain and an agreement and was sentenced to 10 years in prison.
Right.
Yeah.
And as for her boyfriend, he
See,
obviously
now
because
I feel bad for him.
Kind of.
I kind of feel bad for him, you know?
A little bit, but it's like, I don't know. It's
there's some points. So I was watching, videos from the trial and everything earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like, he gained hella weight, number one.
Right.
Like, he went from this skinny little waif thing to like, just like, and like, and I am not fat shaming. I am the last person that would do fat shaming.
Fluctuate their weight from stress,
As a fat person myself, I am not fat shaming.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
But as a fat person myself, I am not fat shaming. But this guy, he fucking went through it,
Yeah, he went through the ringer, it's
he
like
went through it. And as someone who myself is on the spectrum, listening to the defense attorney sit there and say, well, my client, is autistic and he doesn't know right from wrong. And he had no idea that the things that he was doing were wrong because Gypsy told him to do them if he loved her. And also, she and yeah, so she was like, yeah, if you love me, then you're gonna like murder my mom. Like, it's gross the way that
gross. It was complicated. It was a mess. It was a mess.
I will go ahead and say, low-key, I approve with the prosecutors on this when they were like, hey, his autism has nothing to do with this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's autistic, but also he murdered someone. I'm autistic.
Mm-hmm. It's like, regardless, you still murdered somebody. Like,
I didn't murder anyone, to be clear. To be clear.
I won't tell anybody.
I've taken psychology classes. I've taken forensic science classes. I have decided I've done the paperwork to donate my body to the what is it called in Tennessee? The body farm.
Ooh,
after I die. Yeah, no. This is obviously one of my hyperfixations is true crime.
Yeah.
But, I would never actually murder somebody.
Right.
I'll joke about it, but I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I know he was like kind of like the media kind of put him up there as like some just love-struck criminal who was just manipulated, and
they claimed that he had an IQ of 82 because he was autistic.
What the fuck?
And that's something that really upsets me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I dropped out of high school. Yes, I have not finished my education, but currently I am in the process of trying to get my GED.
Mm-hmm.
I have a goal that I am going to get a PhD by the time I'm 40.
I believe in you. You got this. Yeah, so it's like, it was stupid that they like pretty much
on the spectrum. No, this is just the point that I want to make. This is the point I want to make, is that people on the autism spectrum are not inherently like damaged, like we have autism spectrum disorder, but that doesn't immediately mean that we are lesser than anyone, or that we have a less of an IQ just because we're autistic.
Right. And it doesn't mean you're like down here like people are trying to claim. It's like,
no, exactly. Like, and it's frustrating to me,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I will agree with your fiance right now. IQ is bullshit anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, that is one of the biggest frustrations for me with this case, is as an autistic person, to see this person just treated so horribly throughout this case just because he's on the spectrum.
Right.
That's something that's really upsetting to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that that's not what this case is about, but that is one thing that I always feel the need to bring up, is just I
Right.
do not think that Nicholas was treated fairly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry. I needed that tangent. I needed that tangent.
No, it's okay. Like, we'll need to figure that out, you know? It's like,
yeah.
figured it out since like yesterday, since like years ago, since this trial, since before the trial. So
I work for the federal government, and I have one coworker who told our entire department that I am retarded. Yeah. Because she knows that I'm on the spectrum.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
I could have sworn I just heard some dumb shit.
You did hear some dumb shit. So this is one of the things that really fucking pisses me off.
Right.
You know, is when they try to act like people who are on the spectrum are lesser than.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is a true story. I don't talk about it. Sorry, what?
Oh, that was one of my friends. She just said,
"Oh, hi, friend." But no, I when I'm not doing this, I work for the federal government. I cannot talk about what I do, but I do work for the federal government, and another person who works on the same department as me used the word retarded, and I called her out on it, and she was like, "Oh, like anyone who's actually like on the spectrum or whatever doesn't care." And I was like, "Well, I am on the spectrum and I do care, and please don't use that word around me." So she proceeded to tell everyone in our department that I am retarded.
That is disgusting.
Yeah. And I went to HR for that, obviously.
Right.
The minute I found out, I was like, nope, absolutely not.
If I know it might not ever happen, but if we ever see them in public, let me know and I will give them a nice, swift kick to the shin. I might do worse, but you know, that's the only nice thing I can come up with right now.
We'll talk about that after the show.
Yeah, definitely. But
I'm sorry. I just needed to say that is the one thing that was so frustrating to me about this case, is watching his defense attorney sit there and be like, well, he doesn't know right from wrong because he's autistic.
Right. And it's like, no, honey.
Girl, right? Trash people be trashing.
Yeah.
I have got a lot of stories about how this woman is trash.
I mean, despite, you know, all the mess.
Yes.
God, what was it? The jurors had the option of finding him not guilty or guilty for one of the 3 murder charges: involuntary manslaughter, second-degree murder, or first-degree murder. Mortar. And I think they did eventually find him guilty of first-degree murder and armed criminal action.
I will agree with that.
Yeah.
I will agree with that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So in February 2019, he was sentenced to life in prison for murder conviction, and I think they did decline. It
was the only thing that he could be found, that he could have ended up with, because the prosecutors declined to seek the death penalty.
Right. Yeah. Which, you know, in this case, it was just a one-time thing. You know, I would understand with like serial killers.
Thank you for letting us know.
Thank you, Murky.
Yes. I love you too.
No. But yeah, so basically his alibi was he just was blindly in love with GYPSY, wanted to just make her happy, wanted to get her out of that situation, and it just felt like murder was the best option.
Listen, I understand wanting to get someone out of a shitty situation. I was literally dealing with that today.
Right.
Literally dealing with that today. But I'm not murdering.
Right.
But
so he received a sentence of 25 years on that charge, and on top of the life sentence.
He is imprisoned for life plus 25 years.
Right.
Yeah. But through all of this, it has been claimed that he has had diminished capability, as I've said, but the state psychologist, has the lawyer, Dwayne Perry, asked for a new trial and argued that the jury should not have been allowed to hear that Nicholas had considered raping Dee Dee the night of the murder. And they also claim that the state psychologist should not have been able to testify, while Nicholas's psychologist should have been able to testify to establish that he had diminished capability.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he has diminished capability. I really don't.
I don't either, but what can you do?
Exactly.
That's still, a hot topic even to this day.
It is, obviously.
But,
as I am still freaking out about it.
Yeah.
I like that you said, yeah. Like I'm freaking out.
Right. And meanwhile, while this is going on, I already said before, the community was in an uproar. There was just so much conflict between people who were like so involved with Dee Dee and Gypsy's life.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a spokesperson for Habitat for Humanity, whose volunteers built the Blanchards' home, along with other homes on the street, said, "We are really deeply saddened by the whole situation." And it is a whole situation. It's a very sad situation.
Like even Aaliyah, the neighbor. Oh no, Mark, I don't need to refill. Thank you though. Aaliyah, even herself was like, she broke down and was like, "How could I be so stupid about this?" And it's like, you can't blame yourself for trusting people, for trying to see the best in people,
No.
It's like, it sucks. It absolutely sucks, like, being duped, but it's like, that's not your fault. That's their fault.
It is. It's their fault. And I mean, the sheriff said, "In Springfield, we are a giving community. We surround people with love and finances that we believe need it. However, a lot of times we are deceived. And I think this is now so true in this case at hand."
Right.
Yeah. And it's sad. And I mean,
very sad.
Even Dee Dee's family in Louisiana got involved.
This is like my favorite part of the whole case.
If it's your favorite part, you go ahead and talk.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well,
this is all you.
Obviously, her family already didn't like her from the beginning, which kind of sucks. But again, what can you do?
It is what it is.
They flat out said that they did not regret her death. Like, maybe they just didn't even they just didn't care, because they were like, well, you know what? She was treating her daughter like shit. They were treating us like shit. They almost killed my own fucking wife. Like, even her own dad, with his thick Creole accent, was like,
Creole.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah. Sorry, I'm a reader.
I grew up in New Orleans, so
yeah, that's right. You did tell me that.
Funniest thing I've heard. Creole.
Like Crayola.
Creole.
Anyway.
I'm sorry, that was
really her own dad said, like, she deserved it. Fuck it. I don't care. And when they actually got her, Mark, shut up. But anyway, when they actually got her ashes, they flushed them down the toilet. They just didn't fucking care. They're just like, fuck it. Bye.
Bye,
Go
bitch.
down there with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like,
they were just like, bye.
Right. Yeah. So it's like they just flushed him down the toilet, didn't care. They're like, well, you know what? Right. So.
Yeah. But is bad. But GYPSY is serving her sentence currently in Missouri's. Okay, that's a weird Missouri word. Do you know that word? Chillicothe? Chillicothe.
I'm not even going to try that. We're just going to call it a correctional center because that's what it is. A correctional center in Missouri.
Chillicothe?
Yeah.
Sure, why not? She did not talk to the media until after she made her plea. She said that she's been able to now research Munchausen syndrome by proxy and that her mother had every symptom.
Right. And
yeah,
she at least, like, despite how she could have, she actually has not really been demonizing her mom, even though I feel like she has every right to. Because she even said herself, like, she would have been the perfect mom for a kid who really was sick because she was, like, doing everything.
We've got a couple questions here in the comments. How long was her sentence? She took a plea bargain for 10 years. So she is actually eligible to be paroled as early as December 2023.
Which is coming up.
Yeah, it's 2022 now. So she could be.
The last time we went over this case, she was engaged, right?
Not that I've heard of. What?
Oh, I thought you said she was engaged. Yeah, I thought she like met somebody in prison, like somebody like sent her letters.
Oh shit! Oh no! They called off they called it off.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. As of August 2021, they have called off the engagement.
Gotcha. Well, okay. I mean, she's still getting some. So
I guess
with the plea bargain, you know, she's already got people lined up, you know.
Listen, I have been trying to find Gypsy Rose's mailing address for years now. How did this guy Ken, that is his name, Ken, how did he manage to get in contact with her and everything? And I have not been able to find her mailing address. This is a travesty.
It is.
I'm going to look it up again. Oh, it's finally online.
It is?
It is. I just found it on Reddit.
Talk to her. Be like, hey, what's up?
Yeah,
just did an episode about you.
Check out the Patreon. Check us out on Patreon. Down below, you can see our Patreon, patreon.com/ChardonnayTC. Check us out on there. We will be doing a continuation of the series, Write a Serial Killer, where we will be writing a letter to Gypsy Rose, and fingers crossed we get a response.
Please. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
I want to ask her what her favorite pasta is. Come on.
Oh my God. Right?
Everyone's got a favorite pasta. Come on.
What's your favorite pasta, CM?
My favorite pasta? Gosh, that's a really hard one. I would just say the bow tie pasta, but I could do, but I like any pasta, especially if you put some really nice vodka sauce on it. Like,
ooh, yeah, you're not wrong. I am a big fan of ravioli, but I also have recently been really into gnocchi.
Ooh, I love gnocchi, especially with a soup. Like,
oh my God, yum. But I like a nice like basil pesto gnocchi, you know, like fuck me up. So yeah, we gotta find out
what your favorite pasta is, and we'll ask.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. What's your favorite pasta? Tortellini.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Tortellini is bomb. I make a really good tortellini summer salad, actually.
Ooh.
It's like a pasta salad. It's got tortellini and salami and like lemon, and it's really good.
Delicious.
And when I get my own place, you and Mark have to come visit me, and I will make us.
We'll have a potluck.
Yeah, but you're also going to come stay with me because, hello, we're going to hang out, and like, we got the hot girl house going, and it's going to be the hot people house, you know? Yeah. It's going to be good.
Well, that was...
I mean, yeah. So basically, Gypsy's in prison until next December, apparently. Or not next December, the next December. Next?
Right.
Does that make sense? Next December.
Yep.
Okay.
We still lots of time to prepare, you know, figure out
the
what we're going to
world.
ask her. Right.
Everybody watch out. Gypsy Rose is hitting the streets.
Right.
It's like what white people say when their kids learn how to drive. Watch out. My kid has learned how to drive.
Or like that typical white person thing where it's like they just got out of the bathroom, they're shaking their hands, like ready to rock and roll, guys.
Or like when there's a line of people afterwards, they're like, wow, we got here at the right time.
Oh my gosh, me and Mark say that all the time. We'll look at each other and like, hey, we're going to pull a white person and just say we came here at the right time.
But you guys know that you're doing it like ironically. Like there's those people, and I know those people that say it and they mean it. And I'm just like, bruh. Like there's that Native American side of me that's like, y'all. The
one that I will absolutely say, I unironically say, is when I'm trying to get through a crowd and I say that little, let me just squeeze right by you real quick. You know, you got to really emphasize that squeeze, you know, but.
You know what I do is I have taken after that old Vine and I just go, move, I'm gay.
Yes. That's beautiful. That was the beautiful case. Well, not really beautiful, but you know, the obscure, complicated case of Gypsy Rose.
The murderous manipulation, as the episode is titled, of Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
Yes.
Yes.
What will happen next? We'll find out. We got a year to prepare,
on that case. So. We will keep on that case. As for next week, we will continue with our regularly scheduled. We did take a little break from the schedule to do this case because, you know, Mother's Day. But we will continue with Richard Cottingham.
Yes, I am really excited to go over that case.
Like, oh, me too. And, you know, we found the crime scene photos for that case today, actually. And that was a lot.
That was fun.
In our way of saying fun.
Yeah, in our way of saying fun, yeah.
Yeah, because we have a different way of saying fun than like normal people say fun.
True.
I will say. But until next week, this has been Gypsy Rose Blanchard. We are Chardonnay True Crime. Check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/ChardonnayTC. That is where we will be writing a letter to Gypsy Rose. And if we get a response, we will be reading the response on Patreon.
And figure out what her favorite pasta is.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to figure out her favorite pasta. Also, you can get access to our Discord server. You will get first peek at our upcoming merchandise store. And until then, have a great night. We will see you next time. Thank you for listening.
Bye.